This episode is sponsored by Revolution. As you plan your new dance season, remember that your students can feel good wearing Revolution dancewear to class, a brand that supports both your studio and dance communities everywhere. You can be confident in delivering a beautiful dress code that will excite both parents and students alike. Shop new sizes, expanded colorways, and more styles for your dancers. Plus, every purchase you make helps fund the Studio Essentials Grant Program, a unique initiative designed to provide studio owners like you with grants and resources that can be used for things like scholarships, curriculum, facility improvements, and teacher education. As a thank you to our podcast listeners, Revolution is offering a summer saving discount. Use code PODCAST20 to take $20 off a dancewear purchase of $100 or more at revolutiondance.com. Redeem online by August 31st, 2021. Again, use code PODCAST20 to take $20 off a dancewear purchase of $100 or more at revolutiondance.com by August 31st.
This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Garrity and Jill Tyrone.
Welcome to this episode of our Dance Studio 411 podcast. Today we're focused on the benefits of a dress code at your dance studio. And we, of course, invited one of our favorite guests who is an expert on this topic. And we are excited to welcome Tiffany Henderson, owner of 6 Tiffany's Dance Academy locations in the San Francisco Bay Area of California. She's also the founder of the Twinkle Star Dance program, which is implemented in over 300 dance studios worldwide. Tiffany, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we always learn so much from you, given that you have been through it all. So that's a good place to start. I mean, how are things going for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, we're still alive, right? We're alive and we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm not going to candy coat anything. We are still very much struggling to get to that place where we feel like we can tread water. I have heard from a lot of studio owners that they're probably doing even a little better than us. I mean, 6 locations. I have 6 leases. I have 6 payments of rent every month. And it has absolutely been a battle. We're at about 30 to 40% of our enrollment, our shows at the end of July. So we've just opened our enrollment for what will start in August. And it does look promising. It's not, unfortunately, it's not the big comeback that we thought original or would hope for, but it looks promising. So we're still here, and yes. And I'm excited, to talk today. I know about, dress code was kind of an old topic, but very much the old rules still apply to just trying to bridge the gap, the financial gap here. So finding things in your studio that you can go back to or revisit as extra sources of revenue, or I think the dress code or leotards and their skirts and their shoes and all that, tap shoes, that's a big part of what the dance thing is. So parents actually get really excited about this, and it's a part of the package. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely having to go back to like, what do we normally do at this time of year? And actually I'm excited to think about dress code rather than thinking about, shutdowns and, hand sanitizer. So
I know. Oh my gosh, exactly. You said it well. It's true. I feel like we finally have the space in our brains to talk about this. And that's why it's such good timing. Seeing that you've been such a great example of implementing dress code well at your schools. For those of our listeners who either forgot about it, it went to the wind in the last year, ready to redo it or look at it with new eyes, or those who are like, I'm on the fence. I'm pretty confident after they hear your tips today that they are going to be ready. So, I think it's a good place to start to sort of say, what are some of the benefits for dancers when you offer dress code at your studio?
Yeah. And I think I'll say it again, just to start, that dress code, just the words, gets a bad rap. It sounds structured and just very it's going to be boring, what you would wear to a private school that's just like a white shirt and navy blue skirt or something like that. And there's no sort of creative or feeling of excitement in what you're wearing. And I like that it says dress code because it is your required items, but it is what makes kids excited about dance. And it also, they put that on the first day going in. Now, if you have a 7 to 9-year-old child right now, they've been through a war during COVID. They've been stuck inside their rooms. They know enough to know what happened was really hard for them. And so re-entering the studio or the school or whatever, they're already going to feel anxious about having to be social again. So if they know that they're going to put on this cute leotard or whatever it is that we're requiring them to wear, it'll make them feel, I think, even more comfortable coming into what is a structured environment in the studio. So the big benefit is, I do think that they put on the leotard or whatever it is that we're requiring them to wear. Then when they get to dance class, they know I'm in dance class. And that's a big part of what we do as far as our discipline. So that's, I think, the first benefit there.
Yeah, that's a great point, because they're going through the re-entry for everyone is important to have it be successful. And I think you're right. Just setting them into the mindset of, here we are now, we're at dance class. This can be fun. I love that. I've learned so much watching you and the Twinkle Star program that we've even, had success with at our studio. It's the question of, the balance of, everybody wants kids to be creative, but yet you want them to focus. So that balance of structure and fun. And you bring up a great point about how you learned this early in your career about what to wear to dance.
Right. If you are just allowing anything pink, or if you want to even just go with a color, a lot of people will tiptoe, they'll put their toe into the pond of dress code and say, all right, we'll just require color. Well, that's fine. But what happens when they do show up in the full-on princess gown that goes to the ground? It's not meant to be moving in. It's made to sit and play dress up. And now you've got beading falling off and crowns and things like that. And, So yes, early on, that's what we would get. And I was, okay, I guess we just can't go with a long gown. So really, it can be a distraction to allow them to wear whatever they want. And so here's one thing to battle that. Make sure what you're choosing is fun. It's colorful. It's got style. Don't choose that. I made that first mistake when I first opened my studio. Well, I want them in this, this one leotard and this skirt. It was boring. And what parents wanted, what was available at Target. And at Target, they had cute princess outfits, So we do have to we have to really kind of look at what parents would want to buy themselves or would choose on their own. And that will help, again, with the benefit of not having that distraction in class, to just be wearing dress up stuff to their dance class that week.
That's a great tip. So when you're looking at dress code, and there are lots of choices, and I know that, we want a functional outfit, but that's also fun. You can find that. And you helped work with the Revolution team, designed the Twinkle Star uniform, which is adorable. I love the skirted sparkle leotards. And so something like that can be a win-win. As you said, parents are excited to buy it. Kids want to wear it because it has an element of fun. You're psyched as the studio owner because it's neat, clean, and appropriate for dance. I love that.
Right.
It's good. So what are some of the other things that you manage a big staff of dance teachers. Dress code, someone listening to this, some of our listeners might be the one woman do it all. You're running the studio, you're teaching the classes, but if you're starting to look ahead to growing your staff, or if you already have a bunch of teachers, dress code can be the gift you give to the studio. Do you want to talk a little bit about that from a staffing perspective?
Yeah, I do think that it helps, with corrections and things like that. So if everyone's wearing what they're supposed to wear, first of all, if you're getting ready for recital, right, and you're putting your dancers in their lineups or in their staging, if they're all dressed the same for rehearsal, you can see very easily what's not working, what's not jiving together, like the uniformity part of what the dress code does for you. And then also, obviously, for ballet classes and things like that, if they're wearing big baggy shirts, it really does start as a young dancer to understand what is expected. And so for a teacher coming in, wanting to work in a professional environment, I do think it gives them that feeling of like, oh, I'm in a place where kids just don't get to decide whatever they want to. This is a big part of the discipline. And I also think, when you're cleaning dances, if you have a competition team or whatever, they love to wear their half tops and all that good stuff. And if that's your code, that's fine. But we really believe at our studio that we start them in that ballet leotard that changes colors every year. I mean, it's cute for the twinkles, and we also have that. But then even when they get to that 5, 7, 8, 9, maybe they're in royal blue and then they switch to red. And someone asked me, how do you get all your 16-year-olds to wear an actual leotard to class? Because they've never known anything else. And the truth is that's the discipline and the just the feeling that we want to have at our studio. And we do want a lot of kids taking a lot of ballet. So anyway, it kind of lends itself to a lot of different benefits, I think, as a whole.
Yeah. It feels like the really good place to remind everyone that we're responsible for creating the culture at our studio. And if having a dress code is part of that sort of culture of learning, and this is what we do, and it's like part of what we do. And we might have to revisit that as studio owners and faculty, and just be like, hey guys, yep, we just went through a really big year and a half or two of things being upside down, but this is our chance to turn it back together and get focused. And so those are great tips. Speaking of the studio owner having to do it all, what other benefits have you seen in terms of not only rolling out a dress code, but having a dress code just as part of the process for your parents and dancers?
Yeah, I think one of the things is, as we're getting near our recitals, is that if you have a dress code from the very beginning of the year, these tights, these shoes, this leotard. Now, remember, your dress code for recital might be different, like your tights. So I understand that can change. But the same shoes and all that, they already have that. So that uniformity on stage, that professional look is really going to come across, because it's not something that you're just telling them at the very end. Oh, and you also need these tan jacket shoes, or you also need. So you do have to think about that. And if you are a sort of a one-woman show, which, by the way, we're a little bit like a 3-woman show right now. I've got Robbie, myself, and 2 other admins. I usually have a team of 10. And so I completely understand, trying to streamline this process. And that's where Nimbly comes in, and Nimbly Direct, and all those great services that Revolution has to make it super easy for your parents to order their dress code from your list. It comes directly to their house. You do not have to do any of that. And that's what they want. They want, when someone signs up, and I've been now on the phones again for the first time.
I love that.
I don't know, a lot. And I love it. I loved it back when. But I logged into the queue the other day because we didn't have enough people. And I really don't know what I'm doing now with studio director. So I have to relearn everything, and I have to ask for forgiveness. But I talked to them. Oh, and this includes a free leotard, right? Oh, yeah, it does. And I said, and I will send you a link to that so you can see it. They want to see it right away. When they're talking about a dance class, they're thinking, okay, they're envisioning, the dance class idea, maybe from when they were a kid. But if then they can see right away what they're going to wear, it really kind of bridges the gap to their imagination. And they get super excited, because then you say, if you also refer a friend, right, get another friend. And I think they're just going to get off the phone or from an email, even an email or a messenger conversation, and get really excited about it. Those are the things that we're seeing. And I'll tell you what, I know we're going to talk about promotions in a minute, but from the day that I answered, probably 6 hours on the phone, and I probably averaged 25 to 30 minutes a phone call. I know that's a different topic, but that's what you have to do. Studio owners, I know we have to claw back to our pre-COVID, or we're going to save our studios. And sometimes, getting in there and getting on the phone and talking to someone, and they get so excited about the free leotard. That is like the best thing. I know my staff would tell me that's what they like, but now I'm really like, okay, yeah. Because they think, oh, there's no extra cost in this, and we can talk about how you can throw that in. But that is, I think, the way to start your dress code is by providing this as a promotion. And then they don't feel like it's just that extra thing they have to buy, but maybe you're then getting extra on your registration fee. So we're not really giving anything away. They think that the value is there, but yeah, it has been very effective for us.
Yeah, I love that. I think that we have to look at that newly, and you have some great tips here coming up, because I think this is a great topic. This is a great segue. we also use dancewear as an incentive at our studio. And, sometimes the promotion is, when you register, you get a $25 dance. We have a little dance shop, or you can order, online, but they can take a credit toward, and the parents are like, really? They almost always spend double what they were going to. So it's this psychological thing. And it's not that you're tricking your customers, you're actually adding a ton of value for them. And as you said, Tiffany, making that first step into dress code easy. And so I think that's where a lot of studio owners get tripped up is, how do you get that dress code compliance without feeling like you're the dress code police and then enforcing it? And maybe you could share some of your tips on that.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, the nimbly process, or if you want to order the dress code, have it in stock, and then somebody, they come in, they get sized. It does make for happy parents. They don't have to go hunt around to different stores. And honestly, the good news for us is when I first opened the studio in 2000, Target had just done a thing with Danskin, and they had fairly good stuff. But now, as time has gone on, if you look at what's available at Target, I don't know what they're making this stuff out of. Like plastic found on the ground outside in an alley. I'm like, these are not ballet shoes. I'm not sure what that is. So the good news is that we have found a way to provide them this service of being able to order their dress code, or if you want to have it in stock. And so parents don't have to run around and look for other stuff. And what we know about the sort of new world parent at the moment is they don't really like to go and do a lot. They want to order things online. They're used to doing that. So I think it does create happy parents. And then also, additional sources of revenue here, guys, for the studio, right? So we've got to look at that, and it's not a bad thing. It's just not a bad thing. You have to bridge the gap. You have to keep your studio open. Your kids really, really need you. They do. They need it more than ever. Parents need you. If you're down 50%, we hope that miracles happen and the 50% just come back. But what we probably know is maybe we'll only get to 70%, 80%. So what are we going to do with that extra revenue, that shortfall that we feel like we try to aim at about $100 per student in commission per year, right? And so, we're not gouging them with prices, and we can talk about this a little later, but we are providing them with an easy way to get the stuff. We know they're going to need probably 2 to 3 pairs of tights a year. They might need 2 pairs of top shoes or 2 pairs of ballet shoes if they grow out. So we average about $100 in commission per dancer. And that ends up being almost a month of tuition in a year. So I don't think we can afford not to implement this now if you've not, been doing it, for sure.
If we take a cue from other children's activities, the soccer club, the swim team, they're all adding required equipment, gear, call it required equipment, call it required dress code, product, what have you. And it's because we're in a business, we're offering our services as dance classes, and it's so easy to get only focused on that. But we also have every right to sell product to our dancers because they might as well buy it from you. And to your point, the current parent, they want to do everything from their phone or their computer. I'm even one of them. I might be on have teenagers, but same. I'm like, if I can order that online, it's coming, because I don't want to because by the time you get to the store, they're out of the size that you need. So Make it easy. So I think that's a great target for people listening. For $100 in commission per dancer on dress code throughout the season is possible. And I think you've broken down, maybe now that is a good time for those listening to say, that seems high, but you've broken it down nicely on how you do that.
Yeah. And I'll just tell you a little bit. So let's say these are sample Nimbly commissions. Okay. And so, yes, we help create the sparkle tutu and leotards for your preschool classes, your Twinkle classes. And there are 3 colors, by the way. And we really do recommend that, say you have a 2-year-old class, give them pink, the 3s, give them purple, the 4, 5s, give them blue. Make sure they have to get something new each year in a new color, and they'll look forward to that as well. But we make about $12.16 every time somebody buys a sparkle leotard. Okay. So, and that's free and clear. So commissions are different than revenue and profit, because if I'm going to sell something in my studio, I had to buy it or I have cost to sell it, all those things, the cost of actually doing that commerce or the business. This commission is free and clear. So every time they order one through, let's say they're going through Nimbley, it's going to be, you don't have to do anything for them. You can also then place that order through Nimbley direct yourself. And of course, that should be a way to do it. Then the Sparkle Bear with the dress. So if you're going to require the Sparkle Bear with dress, we make $4.50 on that. 2-pack of tights, we make $12.56. So don't ever sell them individually. They need to, they're going to need to. So just don't even do that.
They're going to need 2 or more. Yes.
Right. Ballet shoes, we make $14.44. Tap shoes, $16.48. And maybe you throw in a dance bag. It seems small, but $2.35. Now, we don't make the dance bag maybe mandatory. Put things on their shopping list that are optional, but they're going to be like, oh yeah, I want this and I want that, right? Okay. So you have maybe required items and then you have optional items, but let them go and have fun with some fun things that they would otherwise not know are available or available to them as an individual customer. And one thing I would like to say about Revolution is that they don't, this is the one dance company that doesn't make their dancewear available to the client, to the dance parent. So they can't undercut your price. Mm-hmm. And this is very important. You can set your own price. They're not going to see the price somewhere else and go and get it from somewhere else. So that's actually a really important note there. And then when we get to costumes, so remember, you guys, your holiday show is going to be probably the biggest show you ever had. Okay. Exactly. And so make sure you're planning for that because people are going to get very excited. So for holiday, we usually try to make about $25 free and clear. So we'll mark up our costumes about $25 and recital about $30. Now that could be increased. And if you find a costume, like you use a curtsy costume that we've helped also develop with Revolution, with Twinkle Star Dance, and you are one of our subscribers, you're going to get a special price on that. You might pay $33 for the costume. So if they're normally paying $65 or $70, you can add a little bit more on that. And you should, because again, we have to stay in business. So total per dancer, if I added all that up, would be $117.49. If I times that by 300 dancers, and I know I'm being really excited, really feeling good about, I'm going to get my enrollment back. That's $35,000 a year. And that's free and clear. It's not just revenue that comes in and then there's a net and then it goes back out and what you get to keep, right?
I think that's the important, once again, listening ears activated. And I've been sharing this to you throughout the spring. We're talking $35,000 in profit, not revenue that you have to back out expenses. $35,000 in profit is feels like when you pull in $70,000 or $80,000 in revenue. So that's the kind of money that we need our studio owners to have so that you can reinvest in yourself, in your business. Maybe it's time for you to get new floors, or you want to do that curriculum, or you want to, add another floor space when the time makes sense for expansion when we emerge here. That's money that you're leaving on the table if you're not putting a dress code into place. And I've had to learn that throughout the years. We've always sort of sold dress code, but once we finally started making it required, to your point, you can always add optional fun accessories, but the base product, it made everybody's life easier. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be on board. I think some people get a little scared when you get that one parent email that's like, I can't believe you're making me buy this required uniform. I mean, before we move into some great promotions, Tiff, do you have some from the trenches tips on that? I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you said it earlier. It's like, you don't want to be the dress code police, and it's like, how do you get compliance without being the enforcer? Right. So I think the first tip is to go back to offering these things as an incentive on your enrollment. And how you do that is you say, okay, registration fee was $25. Now it's $29. You pay your registration fee, but you include the dress code or a leotard. Maybe it's not the shoes. So that is one way to start that. And then also, So you're sort of like saying, here it goes, and they get really excited about it. And then from years down the road, they're going to know that's just what it is. I also feel like having those one-on-one fittings, where they come in and they can see the leotard, and you're just basically, instead of saying you must have this or you're going to get a written note coming home in your bag, you're going to say, there's no reason you don't want this. So you have to choose cute stuff. You can't choose things that are, so one thing, studio owners, is this. You might have a teacher on your staff that has an idea about what kids should be wearing. And it may be a very, like, I'm going to say the word old school, but back in the day when they danced, all right? And you don't want to disappoint this teacher, but you do need to make sure that you as a studio owner are choosing things that you think people would choose to buy. So when we're saying required and all of that, yes, that's great. But you want them to look at that style, that leotard, and go, oh, that's so cute. I really want that. Right? So I do think it's a process by which, if you've got the one parent, you have to just say, listen, okay, I understand, just wear something blue. But when they grow out of that blue leotard, please buy this one. This is what we want you to have. So here's another idea. So you kind of don't think about it as an all or nothing. Anytime you make a change, I feel like there's going to be this transitional period. Do not lose a dancer over dress code. Please don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. If they refuse to wear or whatever. But eventually they're going to see everyone else wearing it and kind of go, okay, I'm going to buy that now. But here's another tip. And this is a little bit of a COVID silver lining. So this last year, we did something called Spring Fling in March. We've never done a March performance. It wasn't in studio filming, but next year, we're going to turn it into something where we can have an audience probably in the studio. And we coupled that with a costume that they would purchase our recital in the summer. But we said for Spring Fling, you're going to wear just your required dress code, no costume needed to purchase. And then we're going to provide you with a cute little headband, like it'll be a flower headband or something super cheap that we can add to kind of make it like costumey, right? Mm-hmm. And people were like super excited that they didn't have to buy anything extra. But you know what they did? They all bought their dress code. One thing, everybody has their leotard, but they don't all have their right tights all the time. When they came that day, we couldn't believe, this is what it's supposed to look like. We added ballet skirts for the ballet classes, and our commission that month was insanely good. Yeah. And so we're going to keep that because we'll let the parents come in. We did it early March. We gave everybody free donuts. The other thing is, and I know this is on the topic, but not, for let's say our Twinkles learned 3 dances this year that they performed. One at the holiday filming, which will now be a show. They learned a spring dance that went from January through just 2 months, right? And they did their little spring dance. And then they got to work on their recital dance starting first part of March all the way through July. Now our shows are in July, but parents love this. The fact that they got to do more and then they weren't as bored just doing the same dance. So anyway, I do think it helps with our retention, but your commissions are going to be amazing. And then at that point, they're like, oh, right. Well, I just have to have it because it's what we're going to do for that in-class studio observation or whatever it is. Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a great tip.
So anyway, yeah.
Silver lining from COVID. I absolutely, Tiff. And if there's any takeaway from that is, how do you incorporate your dress code into an in-studio show? This could be the year to do that and have it be really fun. And you've got nothing to lose because if you do it in studio, it's a self-contained situation, but it can be super fun. I love that. That's awesome. I love to hear when innovation strikes out of necessity that we turn it into a great business idea. I love that. So is there anything else? I mean, can we talk a little bit about the promotion and then we'll sort of wrap it up with, I think there's some other good tips as we wrap, but you're doing a great job with your fall promotion now. And of course, anyone listening, first of all, we're always looking for new dancers. So when it comes to bundling in the uniform, you're finally saying this is the aha stuff. You're answering the phones, you're getting it. What's the
takeaway? We think, so our current promotion is this. And by the way, whatever you decide to do, make sure it's very clear on your webpage, on your website. So whatever, because you're going to send an email out that says, we're doing this promotion. They have to be able to see it and really understand it as well. So don't just send it in one email one time and think, oh, that didn't work. You do have to make sure that that language is out there. So what we did is our registration fee, I think we went up like $5. So I think that's like $59 for new and $49 for continuing. Now, that's that money or that fee you can play with, right? So that's going to be that thing that you use that you don't always have to collect. But if you do collect it, you can then pay for goods or materials that you're that giving them value. So on our very first day of registration, we called it the kitchen sink promotion. And, Paul and I were just talking. I was like, this just throw it in the kitchen sink, okay.
Love that.
And it was one day only. They got free registration. And so that was, $49, $59. And we did our registration fees per student now, because we know that when we have to say, then when we get to July, our tiered promotions are going to kind of like, I can't give them what I gave them in the kitchen sink, because that would be unfair to the people who got that, but I have to have something to work with. So one thing I want to say is you don't want to just start with $5 off, because you can't ever offer anything more than $5 off, or people are going to come back and say, I only got $5 off. These people got the kitchen sink. So you might need a kitchen sink promo later. So make sure you start high. So on that first day, they got the free registration. Then they got the free leotard, whatever class. So the Twinkle leotard or whatever it was. We also include these dancer prop kits that are part of our subscription. They're the cutest little cases, and they have their fun props their bear, their scarves, their tiaras. They get one prop each month that goes along with our themed curriculums that are actually a part of what we created this year during COVID for Twinkle Star Dance. So those are the things. So they got the passport book, a Twinkle case, a bear, if I'm talking about preschoolers, the Twinkle leotard, and then free registration. And we signed up probably half of who we have enrolled on the first day. We got 50% back on the first day. Then what we did for the next few days is we tiered it down, and we said, all right, next day you free registration, but we didn't include the leotard, or we just did the case. So, and then as we get to July, it'll be like, pay your registration fee, get your dancewear kit. So whatever you do, don't just do one day and be done with it. And don't do a whole month thing, because then there's no reason to get the kitchen sink. So I do think that you should tier your promotions, look at your calendar, also really look at when you want to start the process of getting people back into your studio or like registering. So it doesn't really start with a promo. It starts with their dancer evaluations, giving them, our curriculum has these cute printables that you can customize with recommended classes for next year. It has a place to put positive comments, and they're branded. So you put the name on the front, and parents really, really love these. And that they use then to go look at your schedule, get excited about it, build a buzz, and a week later, throw the kitchen sink at them.
That's awesome. It's such good advice. So the takeaway is that for everyone who's listening to this, no matter what, you've got to build it up. You've got to get them excited, engage them into what they should be doing next. Dress code can be a really fun part of your studio culture. It doesn't have to be heavy or old school. It can be fun and sparkly and, inviting for people to buy, and for sure use the tools that we've been teaching about. And I know that Revolution Dancewear has some great opportunities for fun dancewear, as well as uniform basics that are beautiful and high quality leotards, tights, and shoes. And so there's so much to do, but I think, gosh, you gave us a lot of great tips, Tiffany, and we really appreciate it. I know that we're going to build back. We have to. The dance industry is full of great creatives, but what we need is business health. And you reminded us today that we can be creative and be inspiring, but we need to have our business viable. And so don't apologize for setting a dress code. It's part of the business, and you'll be so pleased at having some profit that you can use to really build some momentum behind what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good. So, well, I know that people can connect with you. Tiffany, could you tell them how they connect with you online if they want to learn more about you and your program for studios?
Absolutely. You can see our program at twinklestardance.com. A lot of information there about the different subscriptions that we have, and just how to become a part of our community. Also, it gives you more insight to our curriculum. And our 4 pillars and what it includes. We actually just added something really cool. This is, we have now our own original skill building songs and exercises for jazz. And we're also doing them for ballet. So those will be a part of the program now. So you won't have to go grab those off iTunes. There are other music that you do have to get, but this is something we created this year. Like trying to teach a Lindy to a 5-year-old. It's all step, pivot, things like that. So it's voice activated skill building songs. So that's also included. We also added, like I said earlier, our brand new passport journals for our show stars. That's for our ages 5 through 10. These kids really need to come back to dance and connect dance to their feelings. They need to talk about what they're feeling, whether it's not always good. Sometimes you say, who's afraid, who gets sad. They really connect with that. So our themes now have narratives in them. They're very short for the teachers to ask open-ended questions, give them just some ideas, and then we dance. So it's not talking the whole time, but that ties into these little show stars journals. And there are places where they can write what challenged them that month, the things that they're proud of, and then cute little positive stickers that go along with the skills. So that's for our Show Stars program, which is our older, but we also have the themed passports for our little guys that'll take them all the way through the year. So anyway, you can find out more about those things, plus our Twinkle cases. So I really do feel like for us this year, for me too, gave me this creative motivation to just make the program better and really help the kids where they are now. Also, I want to let you guys know that if you are a Twinkle Star subscriber, you receive an exclusive 5% discount on Revolution dancewear. So that does help out. Just those little small margins can make a difference. And you can also check out our dress code pairings for ages 2 through 12. So we already paired them for you. So if you're like, I don't know what I would choose, what would people like? You can see our link there on that Revolution website under Twinkle Star Dance dress codes. And you can see what we're providing or what we're recommending for our dancers as well.
Exactly. Yes. And we'll definitely include all these links in the show notes for everyone who's listening. They can grab those links and check it out. I do highly recommend you explore the program, both Twinkle Star and, dress code from Revolution. And of course, we appreciate everything you do to help us keep the passion for dance alive, Tiffany. And we would love to have you back, as I know I got a sneak peek of some of the holiday costumes for Curtsy, and I know that holiday shows will be new levels of excitement this year. So thanks for being our special guest today.
It's my pleasure and honor. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.